Hey everybody, it's Jeff Brown over at the house, and I got a little something different today. Normally I tell stories, but today I'm going to read a story that I wrote back in the 90s. The story's about my grandma and kind of about my family, and I thought I'd read it to you and see what you think. So here we go. The story's called Grandma's Song. The wind blew hard enough to go right through the simple windbreaker I brought from my home in Southern California. I was attending our 18th annual family reunion in Depot Bay, Oregon, and was having a wonderful time camping at the beach, except for the wind, of course. Must have been about 4 o'clock on Saturday when I heard that Grandma was going to sing a song with Grandpa at the talent show that evening. I was a little surprised since our Grandpa passed some 15 years before. My mother, however, explained that Grandma would be singing along with a tape of Grandpa, and that the song was to be Red River Valley. I must have heard Grandpa sing that song at least 100 times while strumming what he liked to call his guitar. Grandma had never claimed to be much of a singer, although Grandpa told her she had a beautiful voice and loved to hear her sing in church. My grandpa, on the other hand, had a great booming voice. His love of country, western, and bluegrass music, coupled with his Tennessee accent, afforded him an ability to bring a smile to any face. He never failed to get toes tapping. I was looking forward to their song with great anticipation. Around 7, we had cleaned up the mess from the family potluck and began to gather various tables and lawn chairs around my Aunt Carol's campsite. My cousin Steve took what was designated as center stage, really nothing more than one end of the campsite with a backdrop of pine trees, and announced the beginning of our No Talent talent show. There was a smattering of applause and smiles all around as we struggled to keep warm. Cousin Steve leaned into the microphone and promptly brought out Act 1, which consisted of my Aunt Carol and Cousin Ellen singing a lively rendition of Lay That Pistol Down. They prompted us with a cue card containing the chorus, and we gladly joined in, clapping and singing, gaining in enthusiasm with each cheery verse. Act 2 consisted of my mother and her young dog Hope, doing a few tricks which took a little doing, but were nevertheless welcomed with applause at the end. Act 3 was a little comedy routine my cousin Ellen and her son Derek worked up, which was pretty good and had us all laughing. The laughter was welcome also, as I think it helped to raise our body temperatures a notch or two. As the applause died, Cousin Steve once again took the stage to announce that Grandma was going to sing a little song with Grandpa. Looking over to Grandma, she was so bundled up I could only see her eyes and her smile peeking out through the pile of blankets. My grandma had always seemed such a strong woman who could grab you up by the short hairs if you didn't behave. But the years had taken their toll on her, as they do on all of us. It seemed as if her frail body might be crushed from the weight of the blankets rather than warmed by their thickness. There was a moment of confusion as no one was sure if Grandma would do the song from where she sat or move to the stage. Finally, someone brought a chair up and Grandma was helped to her feet. She moved slowly, which might be expected of a woman who has put 87 years behind her. Parting the blankets and pushing them down around her shoulders, she reached up and pushed the hood of her coat down behind her head, showing a wind-tussled tuft of silver hair and a smile that had not dimmed with the years, but rather had grown brighter. Pulling out a wrinkled piece of paper, which had the words scribbled on it, in case she forgot a few, she cupped it in her hands. We all paused for a moment as the family fell silent. Cousin Steve reached over to begin the tape of Grandpa singing. It began with a crackling sound, causing Steve to mess with the knobs a bit, as I heard that long-forgotten yet so familiar guitar strung. It could only be Grandpa. The intro finished and they started in together, Grandma and Grandpa. In this valley they say you are leaving. Your bright eyes and sweet smile bid adieu. I glanced around the circle only to find all eyes on Grandma. Looking more closely, I saw in each one the love they had for Grandma and the loving memory of my grandpa. I looked back once again to Grandma, but this time I could no longer see the wrinkled skin of her face or the silver wispy hair that adorned her head. No, this time I saw the strength and determination that this family was built on. I saw the years of work that my grandma put in to raise or help raise all the children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren gathered around her today. I saw a woman who had accomplished more in the past 10 years than most do in a lifetime. I saw my grandma. My grandma. As she finished the song, I think we all had to press back a tear or two. I know I did. It wasn't the wonderful rendition or the soft voice of my grandmother that did it. Maybe it was that in seeing Grandma there, it completed our family tree. That we were all here together, not just a few branches, but the roots, trunk, and even out to the newly budding leaves of the great-grandchildren high above. We were a family, strong, determined, and absolute. The applause began, and Grandma brought herself to her feet. Returning to the chair she had previously occupied, she sat down with a slump, tired and perhaps a little glad this thing was over. The No Talent talent show continued with a few more songs and a lot more laughs, and I loved and enjoyed my family perhaps more that night than I had in a long time. If I live to be 87, and I hope I do, I'll never forget the day my grandma reminded me of the love I have for her and for my whole family. For Grandma knows love, and she certainly knows family. Thanks for listening.